yesterday. Must be pretty pleased with that.
Yeah, it was. We went to the game. It was well documented. We were undermanned, and we had a few key players out, especially our captains. So, to play the way we did, it was a tough game. They lost a few players just before half time, and they were challenged in that sense. But we fought it out and found a way in the end.
Are you really feeling that absence of those key midfielders in your side?
I suppose, as the game went on, we found our balance. I mean, early on, you probably do look for them a little bit more, but as the game rolled on, we had a different mix in the midfield, and Petrarca and Oliver, were really the steady sort of players in there, and they found their groove, and hopefully they're back in the not too distant future.
Group must take a lot of confidence out of the fact that, you keep finding a way to win no matter, I suppose, who's out over varying weeks. Yeah,
we lost a few games early on in the season by small margins, so to find a way, especially yesterday when they had a bit of a run on in that last quarter and the crowd was really up and about, so to find a way in the end and only just win by, I think it was 8 points in the end, gives a young group really good confidence.
How much of that is down to Goody's coaching? He just seems to be able to find a way to adapt.
Yeah, I think it's got a lot to do with the planning going into the game and understanding there's certain situations that may evolve, and especially late if it's tight. And there was a move that he made in the last quarter that really helped us get momentum and the ball in our half, and that was a key decision that came from the coach's box.
The midfield is where you seem to excel in the past couple of months, I guess, but now with those guys out, you've got 3 sides in the top 4 in the next 4 weeks. How do you approach that?
We take every side on their merits. I mean, Adelaide have got their strengths, but they've also got their weaknesses. So it was up to our opposition guys to try and find those. We had a really good contest when we played them over in Adelaide. So they will no doubt dissect that game and try and rectify that loss that they had over there. But we're going with full confidence. We understand we've got a game plan that doesn't just rely on one player. So whoever steps into that role is not expected to do anything more than what Viney or Jonesy would do. They're just expected to play their role.
Might as well address the elephant in the room. Jordan, what's the discussion been amongst the leaders of the group and the coaching staff about the Clayton incident with the fan?
We haven't really spoken about it today, but I think from a player's point of view, it's important not to react to the crowd. You'd probably spend your whole day having discussions with the crowd if that was the case. So Clayton's a young kid. Hopefully he's learned his lesson. Everyone gets hurled abuse every single week, so you just can't react. You just got to play the game on its merits, and he would have learned a nice little lesson yesterday.
How hard is that, given what you get each week?
It can become quite difficult, but I suppose the older you get, the wiser you get, and sometimes you join in a little bit and try and G them up a little bit. But I mean, that's the great thing about our game. They can't touch you, so you can sort of be out there and they can hurl abuse and try and affect you that way. But at the end of the day, we've just got to concentrate on playing football.
Do you think it'd be unfair if he was to receive a fine or something like that if he was defending himself?
I can't comment on what was said, and that's the thing. The AFL have in place, certain things that they investigate certain situations. So if they feel the need to do that, that's up to them. But I'm unsure.
He's obviously had a couple of incidents in the last few weeks in terms of Twitter stuff and now this. Does it just come with experience? You've been around the block a while, that you sort of learn to deal with that a bit better? Yeah,
you do. You do get thick skin the longer you're in the game. And he's obviously early on in his career, and he wouldn't have felt this for the first 18 years of his life. So it is a whole new world that these young kids are entering in, and they have to understand that it's not necessarily personal, but they're trying to put us off our game. So you can't react to Twitter or fans who try and provoke you at games. You've just got to move on.
Is there a limit? What do you make of the broader questions then about the club's culture that have come out as a result of the last few weeks?
Yeah, I laugh at it. I've been at a really successful environment at Hawthorn. I understand the culture, and I understand the culture here. And it's laughable from my point of view because I understand what we've got here. And you try not to buy in or comment on certain things that circle in the media until you get asked about them. But I think it's laughable.
Is there a limit to what fans should be able to say to players? Do you think that, what do you think would be overstepping the mark for a fan to be yelling at a player?
Well, I think anything racial and anything like that is clearly out of bounds. But other than that, they can say what they want. I mean, they pay their money to go to the game. It's probably good for them to go to a game and vent, and they go back to work on Monday and feel refreshed and ready to go. So a lot of it you don't hear, to be honest. It's only when you're right near the boundary line that you may hear a little bit. But I heard the boos. That was about it. But yeah, it's part of the game. You just laugh it off.
You ever tempted to snap back at them at times? Has there ever been times where that's happened?
Oh, there's always temptation, but you always try and second guess yourself and understand that there's nothing to gain. So they're trying to provoke you. Opposition players are trying to provoke you. And if you win the game, you get the last laugh.
You guys controlled the last minute of the game really well yesterday. Given the change in the shot clock rule a couple of weeks ago, were you ever concerned that the umpire might just make a discretionary call and call play on you?
I was unsure, to be honest, but I think what we learnt a few weeks ago, the umpires would have been right on top of that, and it was when Daniel Cross came out and said we had about a minute left. So Alex Neil-Bullen had the ball, and I was hoping that he would kick it to me, and he did, and then we were able to run down the clock, and then it was a nice little win. But yeah, I was glad that he didn't call play on too early.
Were you paying attention to the fact that he could call play on at any point, and how difficult is that now, given the change of interpretation?
Yeah, I was, and I sort of back off the mark quite a long way, just in case it did happen. So, but I saw the umpire checking the clock as well. So I think they're all over it, and thankfully he didn't call play on too soon.
Expecting Watsy and Tom Tyson back this week?
Yeah, I think that'll be a test. They trained well on Saturday, so you know, from all reports, they'll put their hand up if they train well this week, and they'll be two handy inclusions.
Now, how do you rank Neville Jetta with some of the backmen you've played with? Some are saying he's in All-Australian contention.
Yeah, I don't want to pump up his tyres too much, but I reckon he's the most underrated backline player in the competition. He's extraordinary, and some of his efforts late in the game, no doubt, saved the game for us. He plays tall, small. It doesn't matter. It doesn't faze him, and he's a beauty, someone you want on your side.
Thank you, Jordan.
No worries.